Hey everyone! Remember a year or two ago when everyone was going electric? Electric vehicles, or EVs, were supposed to be the future, taking over the roads and saving the planet. But hold on a second, because recent reports are showing something shocking. EV sales are actually falling.
On the CBS Money Watch, hybrid cars are back in the spotlight. Sales are surging as all-electric vehicle sales slow down.
Sales growth of electric vehicles has slowed dramatically this year, with 20% fewer cars in the first quarter of 2024 than in the prior quarter.
Tesla is in financial trouble with plans to lay off more than 10% of its workforce after a fall in, would you believe it, electric vehicle sales.
EV sales in general are declining.
What's going on here? Is the electric dream turning into a nightmare? Well, in today's video, we're going to dive deep into this case study and uncover the reasons behind the slowdown in EV sales. Is it rising costs? Charging infrastructure issues? Maybe there's something else entirely at play? By the end of this video, you'll have a clear picture of what's happening with EVs and whether this is just a temporary blip or a sign of things to come. So buckle up, subscribe to Mirror Review, and let's get charged up about why electric vehicles might be hitting the brakes. At first, let's talk numbers. In 2023, the US saw a whopping 1.6 million EVs zipping off dealership lots. That's a crazy 60% increase from the year before. But hold on. Globally, the first quarter of 2023 saw a staggering 2.3 million EVs sold, a 25% jump compared to the same period in 2022. It looks like the electric revolution is well and truly underway. And speaking of revolutions, who can forget the boss of EVs, Tesla Model Y? This electric beast topped the charts in 2023 with a jaw-dropping 1.2 million registrations. Now, let's shift gears and take a look at 2024. Here's where things get interesting. While the US market saw a healthy 268,000 EVs sold in the first quarter, there was a 15% dip compared to the previous quarter. Also, fully electric vehicles, or BEVs, experienced their first quarterly decline since 2020, grabbing a 7.3% market share. Whoa, that's a bit of a speed bump, right? But wait, before you hit the brakes on your electric dreams, let's look at the bigger picture. Experts predict that 2024 will still see a 10 to 20% growth in US EV sales compared to 2023. And get this, China is projected to become the undisputed EV king, reaching a mind-blowing 10 million EVs sold, potentially making up 45% of their entire car market. Even Europe is expected to see a healthy 10% rise in EV sales. Now the question arises, why did EV sales fall in the first quarter of 2024? The reasons are multiple, but we found major hurdles in trimming the EV growth. Interest waning or wallets shrinking? Data shows a clear shift in consumer sentiment. In 2021, a whopping 86% of US buyers considered an EV. Now, in 2023, that number's dropped to 67%. This could be due to several factors. The high cost of going electric. Let's face it, EVs aren't cheap. The average EV sits between $53,000 and $60,000, compared to the national average of $48,000 for all cars. On top of that, inflation is squeezing wallets, and rising interest rates make borrowing for a new car more expensive. EV hype versus EV reality. Remember the frenzy around the electric Ford F-150 Lightning? Reservations soared, leading Ford to close them early. But fast forward to September 2023, and they're ramping up production of the gas-powered F-150 hybrid. Why? Lightning sales slowed down. Charging confusion. Remember all the different charging standards for EVs? Well, in 2023, a few automakers decided to switch to the Tesla charging standard. This means some cars are stuck on factory floors with outdated charging systems. Whether you're a current EV owner, considering one, or just curious, the charging situation is a major pain point. The perfect storm, economics and policy shifts. While cost is a big factor, there are other concerns. The recent economic slowdown in the US and Europe isn't helping either. Plus, government policies around EV incentives are changing in the US, Europe, and even India, with some subsidies being reduced or discontinued. The geopolitical tensions. On top of all that, the supply chain for EVs is facing its own challenges. After the pandemic, the world started searching for alternatives to Chinese manufacturing. Hence, semiconductors and other electronic components went out of stock in no time. semiconductor shortages continue to plague the auto industry as a whole. The specific materials needed for EV batteries are also in tight supply. These bottlenecks are making it difficult for manufacturers to keep up with demand, and they can also drive up production costs, which are then passed on to consumers. Range anxiety, hybrids, and fuel cells. Range anxiety is still a big deal for many, as every time you want to go out for a vacation or a long drive, you need a proper plan to charge and enjoy the journey. Initially, it seems fine, but after a certain period, you get exhausted. And then the urge for last-moment vehicles is the petrol or newly introduced hybrid vehicles. Hybrid vehicle sales in the United States have been growing in recent years, with sales increasing 56% in 2023, 63% in 2022, and 93% in 2021. In 2023, hybrid and electric vehicle sales each surpassed 1 million for the first time, with hybrid sales growing 65% compared to EV sales 46% increase. By the end of 2023, the US had sold 8.5 million hybrid electric vehicles, the second largest fleet in the world after Japan. On top of that, hydrogen fuel cell cars are even considered instead of EVs, even though the sales number was just 2,737 in 2023. For the Toyota Mirai, it was a 31% jump from 2022 sales. Resale value. Finally, resale value is another question mark for potential EV buyers. An average car buyer in the US drives around a car for 10 to 15 years. EVs have a battery warranty for 10 years. Later, it starts depleting to 80% efficiency or below. The technology is still relatively new, and there's uncertainty about how quickly battery technology will advance and how that will impact the value of used EVs down the road. So, what's next? As we conclude, we found that the EV revolution isn't over, but it's facing some roadblocks. The industry needs to address affordability, range anxiety through better charging infrastructure, and consumer concerns about battery technology. Until then, we might see a temporary shift in buying habits. There are new battery technologies in testing that will soon hit the market. Sodium-ion and graphene batteries are among the most anticipated battery technologies for the near future. The time will decide which technology will be the game changer. After watching till the end, what do you think? What will be the EV's future? Comment with your thoughts below. Thank you for watching till the end.